and it come up on the porch and was right against the wall, and it went right under the door and went right around this way, and its head was out by that rug, the foot rug. And that's how long it was, and its body was about that wide, and it was black, solid black. And I screamed, and I run out, and there was some women over there visiting her, and her husband was on a fishing trip. And they were in the house, and I run over. I thought, well, I'll get in and get the hoe and kill it. This door was fastened. I went out that way, said I keep this door fastened, so I couldn't get out. I couldn't get back in there, so I couldn't get back in. So I went over there, and I said, oh, Miss Jones, look at that snake on my porch. And she says, oh, my goodness. She says, well, I said, can I get Mr. Jones to go kill it? She says, he isn't here. He was on a fishing trip. She said, I'll get a hoe and go over there. And so the other two women says, oh, my goodness, what a big snake. And they both come out to the street there. And we saw a little, and she'd come with a hoe and a shovel. And we saw a little red truck come with a woman man in, and she said, well, stop this truck and get him to kill it. So she stopped the truck, and he stopped. He's a real good young boy and his wife. And she said, told him, I said, oh, for goodness sake, take this hoe and kill that snake over on my porch. He says, how'd you get out? And I said, I stepped over it. And he says, you sure you didn't step on it? I says, no. He says, you're not dead. I says, no. He says, well, so it must be a black snake. And so he got out, and his wife got out too, and all the women stood there on the other side of the street and come over, clear over to this side. And so I come with Miss Jones over to this side, and they took that hoe, and it was a kind of a worn hoe, kind of like my old Miss Jones hoe, you know, and he cut its head off on the porch, and it didn't even get out of the way for him to do it. It did this
probably
way.
It just got out of hibernation.
And I said, she says, oh, get it out away from here. I said, get it over. He says, where do you want me to put it? I says, take it on the hoe and throw it over in the alley and the back of the house. And so he said, okay. So I went around here and opened the gate. I said, where did I get the gate open? If you can get away from there, I come and open this gate from you, wrapped it around the hole and threw it in the alley. And I went out there after they were gone. Everybody was gone, everything to see. You know, I was sure he cut its head off. I could see it did. And that snake wasn't there anywhere, and I never did see it anymore.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know whether it got away or whether somebody...
no, a dog or something got it.
A dog got it or something, I guess.
Or it may have wiggled away.
Well, you see, honey, when they built New Montgomery, you want to put another one in. This is a good story, and this is true, honey. Is it ready now?
Yeah, it's ready.
Well, Grandpa Barfield moved to New Montgomery, and he had to have someone to live in his house on the Red River Plantation to do the cooking for him and the man that ran the gin, operated the gin and picked the cotton, and he wanted to keep the plantation. But at the weekend,
Stop!
At the end of every week, Grandpa and Uncle Mame and Uncle Jack went down to Montgomery and spent the weekend with Grandma and Aunt Tavy. And Grandpa asked my father and mother if they would move up on the plantation, and Mama would do the cooking for him, and he would help work the place for a few years, and then he'd probably sell it. So Dad thought it would be a good deal, and so he asked Mama, and she said yes, we would. Catherine and I were not old enough to, I was 7 years old, but we were not, couldn't go to school alone, couldn't walk to school alone. So they figured that we could miss a little time going to school, or maybe Grandpa would take us in the wagon. So we moved up on the river plantation in the big house, and every fall, if they picked the cotton, they ginned the cotton. And it took Grandpa and my father and Uncle Bud Taylor and Uncle Jack Barfield and several other men to do the ginning. And Mama, we heard the noise down there. The cotton gin was about as close to the house, about a quarter of a mile, short quarter of a mile. And so Mama told us, promised us she'd take us down to the gin, let us see them ginning the cotton one day. And it was a pretty day. And so in the afternoon, Mama took us down to the gin. We saw them walk around in the gin and saw them ginning cotton, saw them dropped the cotton over in the thing that separated the cotton seed from the cotton, and went down to the engine room and saw Uncle Zach putting wood in the fire to keep the steam up. And so we saw all we wanted to see, and so Jim was a little fellow then, and Annie was the baby. And so Mama decided to take us back to the house and told us to stay close to her. You see, this place was on Red River, but it was a good mile from the river to the house and Jen. But the snakes, there was ravines, and snakes would come to in those ravines. When it would rain, there'd be water in the ravines, and created lots of snakes. So we were going back to the house, and we had to open a little gate when we got to the blacksmith shop and go up to the kitchen, walk about, as far as from here to that car out there to the kitchen, go up the kitchen steps and go in the house. And we had got inside the gate, and Mama had shut the gate, and we got about halfway to the kitchen, and the kitchen had a little, what they call a storeroom to it, and there was a little window, and we always walked to that window and pour out the dishwater to get rid of the dishwater, and it made a cool, hard place on the ground outside of this kitchen window. So Mama says, "Oh my God," says, stop, every one of you." And we stopped and says, "What's the matter, Mama?" And she says, "Look at that big snake that curled up under the window." Says, "Well, that thing is as big as a
Wash tub.
Wash tub. Big as a wash tub. Would fill a wash tub." And she says, "Come on," says, "you run back." She says, "Get back out this gate." And says, "You run back to the gin and tell Grandpa I said to come up here and kill this snake that's under the kitchen window and tell him it's a big one." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Now don't fall down and don't get into the machinery." So you know where your grandpa stays there to watch the cotton go in. And I said, "Yes." And so I went back and I saw Grandpa, and he couldn't hear him, and he got way down, and he had to scuffle around and took me out to the door so he could hear me. And I says, "Mama, I want you to come up to the house and kill a big snake. It's curled up under the kitchen window." And he says, "Well," says, "I'll be there right away." He says, "Go back, but don't get near the snake, and I'll be there." So I went on back, and he came up and went and he saw it, and he said, "It's a big rattler." And he said, "Now get as far as you can back down that gate. Don't come up here." So now it might, no telling what it might do. And he says, "I'll go and get my little rifle and shoot it." So he went in the house, and to his special room he had barrels of apples and whiskey and meat and stuff locked up in a little storeroom. And so he went in there and got his little gun and come out, and he stood, I'd say about 20 feet from it, and he shot it. And it raised its head up and began to raise up, and he shot it 2 or 3 more times. I don't remember exactly how many times he shot it, but he shot it, and it curled around and took quite a while to die. And finally it died, and he got a hoe, a rake, and dragged it away outside the yard under the big walnut tree and left it there and told Mama to keep us inside the house. He was dead, but keep us, not let us get near it. And so when Uncle Marion came to the house, he said, "Well, I'm going to skin that thing. I can sell that hide." So he got it and strung it up on the fence and let it stay there till he had his supper and everything, and he skinned it. And the only colored man came and helped him skin that big rattlesnake. And he skinned it, and I don't know how much he got for the hide, but he sold the hide and got a pretty good price for it.
About how long would you say it probably was?
It was about twice as long as this table.
My Lord,
And
that's got to be, this table's about 4 foot.
Yeah,
It's got to be 8 foot.
Got
It
8
was
foot.
about as big around as that, if it was
Oh
round.
my, as big around as Shirley's tape recorder.
My God.
Oh, its head was as big as my hand.
My Lord, that must have been the
Good-sized snake.
king of all
Of them
kings.
all, right.
That's the largest snake I ever saw.
I imagine it was 8 foot long and
Oh,
it's,
yes.
what, that's gotta be
If
at
that
least
was
12
round,
foot
big
in
round,
diameter.
you know.
Inches.
Yeah,
It was a
12
curved up
feet.
thing, and it was a great big pile.
15
It
foot
made
to
a
15
pile
inches.
about like that, great big pile.
Mm-mm.
Do you remember the story